What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to episode 46 of our Liverpool FC playthrough here in Football Manager 2016. Hopefully you guys are good. Today I have for you guys a live commentary against Manchester City. Eagle-eyed viewers may notice we are some way in the future since last episode. I did say I was going to do the Champions League. However, going into the final day, the way things transpired, it actually turned out we were guaranteed a spot in the knockout round. And all in all, it was a little bit anticlimactic. So anyway, let's take a look at that Champions League group, I guess, just to start things off. As you can see, in the knockout rounds, we're going to be taking on Fiorentina. Kind of a kind draw. Definitely could have been a lot harsher. You'll notice Dybala, top goal scorer in the competition. That's really pleasing to see. Let's have a look at the groups. I can't remember which group I was in. I feel like it was Group F, but I might be wrong. Do we chance it? Is my knowledge good? It is good. Excellent. Group F. As you can see here, we actually ended up finishing top of the group on 13 points. Fenerbahce and Benfica came second and third. The way the results kind of ended up, going into the last game of the kind of group stage, we were on 10 points, Benfica were on 10 points, and Fenerbahce were on 9 points. And because Fenerbahce and Benfica were playing one another, it meant a situation whereby no matter what the result in my game was, that we were guaranteed to go through either in first or second. In the end, I believe we beat Basel fairly convincingly, but we'll look at those results anyway. Last episode was the draw against Manchester United. Since then, green has been the colour. We have been absolutely insane. This is one of the best kind of hot runs of form I can remember in Football Manager from a side of mine. The amount of goals we've been scoring, you can see there's 2+ goals, and the majority of the games have had 3 or 4 goals. One has had 5. It's been really, really impressive. So I guess we'll look through a few of these. We'll start with the Champions League games. So actually, at the end of last episode, there were 2 games left to be played. One was against Fenerbahce. As you can see here, we won 3-0. Dybala grabbing a goal, Henderson grabbing a goal, a good performance there. And then in the last game of that group stage, we beat Basel 4-1. Dybala grabbing 2, Tielemans getting a goal, and Embolo. Tielemans really kind of grown into his role in the first team, this guy. He's not perhaps at his kind of potential just yet. I think there's still room for him to improve a little, but the 21-year-old Belgium is just such a great creative midfielder. And he gets a fair share of goals for a player of only 10 finishing. You can see he's got 13 goals in the Premier League already. And as you saw, he got one in this Champions League game. The other competition that we are still in is in the FA Cup, where we actually won in the third round against Newcastle 3-0. A little bit of revenge, I guess, after we lost to them 7-2 in the league. You know, there was something to kind of be proven here, I guess, point-wise for our team. And we did it. Tielemans getting a goal and Embolo getting a goal again. Actually, Embolo grabbing a brace for us. He's been a fantastic player, the Swiss international. You can see here a player with a little bit of potential left to fill. Whether or not he's ever going to become that first team regular that I dreamt he might be, we'll see. He's getting goals for us. We really can't complain. He's got 8 goals so far in the Premier League, 2 in the FA Cup, 2 in the Champions League. He's doing a job for us, it's fair to say. So anyway, let's shift our attention over onto the league form. As I mentioned, I'm not going to go through all of these games, but what you need to know is Dybala's been grabbing goals. You can see Embolo actually got a hat-trick here. And we've just been outscoring oppositions. Against Southampton, again, similar performance. Dybala this time of the hat-trick. Against Watford, not perhaps the most comfortable of results out of this run, perhaps the closest game too. It looked like it could be a draw, but with 20 minutes left, Dybala grabbed a goal for us. And as you can see, very much kind of the same continuing here. We beat Norwich 4-2. We beat Tottenham Hotspur, who have been struggling a lot in the league, considering they were a team who were right up at the top of the table for a few seasons in this save. You can see Dybala grabbed 2 here. Against Hull, we won 3-0. Swansea 3-1. That wasn't too bad of a result. It could have been a clean sheet. We kind of gave that up. Good to see Gabriel Barbosa getting a brace for himself in that game. Swansea this season, they've been the breakthrough team. I'm not sure where they are in the league now, but at the time of this game they were in kind of 5th. So they were a fairly big opposition and a fairly big team for us to try and get a result against. So that 3-1 win was really pleasing. We then beat bottom of the table West Ham 2-0, Mario Götze and Barbosa with the goals. And then the last 2 games against Aston Villa and Brentford, you can see we won both in fairly convincing fashion. This game against Brentford, Dybala again grabbing a hat-trick. And this guy, wow. I'm so glad we brought him in as a replacement for Lacazette. I'm so glad we I say replacement like we let Lacazette go first. That isn't actually what happened at all. But I'm so happy that Dybala's hit the ground running. 19 goals in 18 appearances for us. He finished runner-up in the Ballon d'Or behind Messi. And he actually beat both Neymar and Ronaldo, which was absolutely incredible for him to be crowned kind of the second best player in the world. is amazing, and he's only 25. In terms of what else has been going on at the club, well, I guess we'll look at the Premier League table here. You can see with our amazing winning run, granted against slightly weaker teams, we've really rocketed up the table. We now are in, as you can see here, second place. It's really tight at the top. Man City fallen a little bit off the pace. There was a point where they were looking fairly unbeatable. I believe after 11 games, they hadn't conceded more than 3 goals in total. You can see since then they've conceded 10 in their last 10. So they are very, very much beatable. And their form of late has been slightly underwhelming. So we are playing them at a good time for us. You can see they have only won 1 of their last 6, which not too great really. You can see draws against bottom of the table West Ham, draws against Villa. Of course, I'm sure they'll be trying to bounce back from those results against us today, so they're not going to make things easy. But there certainly could be a lot harder time to be playing this Manchester City side. Anyway, let's have a quick look at the transfers for January, because there is one. Actually, there's a few. There's one out, I believe, at the moment, if I can count. And if there's more, then I can't count. As you can see, we released a lot of players. We scroll through them. The only transfer out at the moment has been Marcel Tisserand, who we sold for, I think, £5 million, £5.5 million to Leverkusen. I brought this guy in, and my vision with this guy was he'll be the player who sits on the bench. He can play left back and right back, and he's probably going to play first team football if injuries happen and if we get hit hard. That's just not happened for us, unfortunately. Moreno and Fred at left back, Peruzzi and Klein at right back. Between them, you know, those 4 players, they're not getting many injuries. There was never this kind of space, I guess, for this 5th fullback who could play both sides to come into the side. As a result, he was a little bit unhappy, decided to move him on while we could. Disappointing perhaps to lose a little bit of money. We definitely overpaid at £10 million. But at the same time, I don't want to keep an unhappy player at the club who's going to be ruining the morale. And so it kind of just made a sense as a transfer, I guess, for all parties involved. In terms of the ins, there is one, and it's this guy. Actually, there's 2 others at Regen who are signed on pre-contracts. We'll cover them first. Mauricio Cabello, what a name that is. Uruguayan, this guy. You can see 32 goals in 24 games at under-20s level for his national side. He's a good player. He's on loan at San Lorenzo in Argentina. A player with some pretty good potential, the 18-year-old. The other player we signed, Edu, just a semi-talented Brazilian centre-back. A player who I actually signed when he was only 15 or 16 a few years ago now. He obviously, because of the rules in South America, he has to be 18 before he can come to Europe. He's reached that age now. He didn't get a work permit, and he's looking a little bit underwhelming, but we didn't pay too much for him, only £500,000. I'm pretty sure we'll make some money off him regardless. Anyway, the one transfer I do have to tell you guys is possibly the most exciting transfer in certainly probably the last season at the club, maybe a little bit longer. This guy, you'll see his name, Mario Silva. Signed for £4.2 million, but that doesn't really tell the entire story. So this is a player who I've been eyeing up for a number of years. You guys might remember I have brought in a few kind of Portuguese regents. If we look at the club, you'll see we brought in, is it Sampaio? I think it's Sampaio. But we brought this guy in, and I talked about the fact that the Portuguese under-21s had won the under-21s World Cup, and there was a few other Portuguese players I was looking at. This guy was one of those players, Mario Silva. However, his club wanted £40 million for him. Yes, that is right, £40 million for Vitória de... I'm not going to say the rest of the name because I'm going to butcher it. But basically that team. And he was on £240 a week, and he was very, very unhappy, and he wanted to leave the club. And his contract was expiring at the end of this season. And I decided, like a few other teams, including Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, AC Milan, to... make a bid for him, stick some money in and try and get him to come to our club. He's only 18, and what ended up happening was Real Madrid and Bayern, they're always going to attract players over me. It's just how FM works, especially fairly early on. Their reputation means the players are always going to accept deals from them. So I knew in order for me to get this guy, I needed to offer him a contract where he'd say that he thought the terms were very acceptable, and that means that he's guaranteed to accept the contract the next day. Now the issue is when you've got Real Madrid offering £68,000 a week, I think it was their offer, in wages for an 18-year-old, and you need to make sure he really wants to come to you, you're offering him... I had to offer him £100,000. So you've got this picture painted in your head. How good is he then, Jack? Let's have a look at Mr. Mario Silva. He is bloody incredible. I don't know what to say. he's a very good player, and I posted on Twitter, I asked my followers, guys, should I sign this guy? Would you sign him? And everyone was like, yeah. There were a few no's, but it was pretty unanimous in the fact people were like, yeah, you should sign him. So here's a comparison of him against Daniel Sturridge. Now, bear in mind, Silva, he's only 18. Yeah, he's got 8 caps for Portugal and 6 first-team goals too. You can see looking at him, he's on £100,000 a week. It's a 4-year deal. We, of course, only signed him for £4.2 million. The way that worked was after we had agreed a pre-contract with him where he'd be moving to us at the end of the season, I then had the option to buy him now if I wanted to, which I took. So yeah, this is going to be one of the bigger risks I think I've taken on this save. But he looks like an absolutely incredible striker. Not the strongest mentally, but has ridiculous pace, amazing physicals, just great technicals as well for a striker who's only 18. If he can smarten up a little bit, if he can maybe work on his passing, he's going to be an absolutely superb player for us. And he's 18, which is absolutely terrifying. He is going to be on the bench as well for today's game. So anyway, let's have a look at today's game. We are taking on Manchester City. We've looked at their form. They're struggling. Just a quick look at the league. They are currently in 4th. A win here today could see us go top of the table, which would be incredible. As I mentioned, we've been in some absolutely superb form this season, and particularly in the last I think it's 13 games that we've won in a row. I really want to keep that going here. I believe we have set a Premier League record, at least for the club, which I'm pretty pleased about. So yeah, I think this is the team I'm going to go with. I'm just looking at it here. So it's Mignolet in goal, Moreno, Mamana, Zuma, Klein. That is what I now consider perhaps my strongest back four. It's a little bit of a weird situation actually, because Stefan de Vrij I brought in thinking he'd be the centre-back who plays alongside Zuma. But Mamana is just developed at such a ridiculous kind of pace that I find it difficult not to play him because he is just such a good centre-back. It's not a bad problem to have, but I guess the player suffering is currently Sacco, who I have been offering out. I've had a few bids of about £12 million from Arsenal for him. Now, I might have accepted that if it wasn't Arsenal, just because his wages are quite hefty for a player who's kind of 4th choice centre-back. But because of the fact that it's a domestic rival, I don't really want to let him go for that cheap to them. So I've held on to him for now, but Sacco might be on his way out of the club. Looking at the actual rest of the team, you can see Tielemans, Henderson, Coutinho. I should point out Coutinho, Zuma and Dybala all made it into the World Team of the Year, which was really nice. Zuma was on the bench, but Dybala and Coutinho were in the starting 11. And as I mentioned, Dybala did finish runner-up in the Ballon d'Or. And also, actually, Nikola Vlasic won European Golden Boy, which was really pleasing. Obviously, he pretty much carried Croatia to a World Cup at the age of 20. Which isn't too bad a going, really. Really delighted to have this guy as a player who's going to be at our club in the next few years. Excited to see how he kind of grows into our system. In terms of a little bit about January dealings, actually, because I've forgotten to talk about this, I have had a few bids. I had a bid of £50 million for Goetze, which I declined from Dortmund. I had a £40 million bid for Coutinho from Real Madrid, which I declined. I tried to negotiate £80 million. They weren't having any of it, so we're going to keep hold of him. On the outs, I have tried to sell Teixeira. He just doesn't really fit our team. He's on not the massive wages really, but if we could sell him on for some money, considering that we brought him in on a free this year, that would be pretty pleasing, even if it's only £10 million. We also have Firmino, who I am trying to sell. I love Firmino, but his injuries have absolutely wrecked him. He is ruined as a player. He's got £115,000 a week wages. And I just can't justify that. The injuries that he's had have been really unfortunate. Obviously, the damaged cruciate ligament injury for 8 months. I mean, it's rotten luck, but it's pretty much destroyed him as a player. And as a result, trying to get somebody before his value drops like a stone. So that might be something that happens there, although at the moment there's no clubs interested. Anyway, looking at our final 3 players, you can see Goetze, Dybala, Sturridge, pretty much the usual suspects. I did contemplate starting either Embolo, who, as you might have gathered from some of our recapped results, has been in great form, or Mario Silva. I also contemplated playing over Daniel Sturridge, because Daniel Sturridge, not 100% match sharp, been struggling a little bit, had a little injury that's kept him out, and it has kind of impacted his attributes just a little bit. I was actually surprised with how good Mario Silva was in comparison to Sturridge. I'd say Sturridge is very, very marginally better, but to be honest, there is not a lot between them. So we've got that option on the bench. If Sturridge has a bad first half at half-time, given his match sharpness, there might be a change made there. So anyway, let's get into today's game. We will submit this team. Sturridge lacking match sharpness. We know that's going to be a thing that we have to deal with. As you can see, Raheem Sterling out injured, as is Lazar. So they're big misses for City. We are the favourites for this game. And yeah, we've got to try and, I guess, make the most of that. We are playing our kind of narrower system, as you might have seen there. Man City playing a 4-1-4-1 with a defensive midfielder. So they're not going to have too many players flooding into our final third. So I hope that we can deal with them and hopefully put in a good performance here. Of course, we've already played the likes of Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea and Manchester United earlier in the season, all away from home. We've got home ties against those teams to look forward to. This is the first of the big home games this season, which feels a little bit strange, I guess, to say in January, but it's just the way the fixtures were drawn out. So hopefully we can get a good result here. And we do have a chance, actually. Coutinho whips it in back post. Zuma, what a header, my son. I assume it's a header. It's hard to tell with the dots, isn't it? He wheels away towards the fans. That is his first goal of the season. Kurt Zuma getting a goal. Actually, surprisingly how few corner goals I get. I need to kind of work on some corner tactics this year in FM. I think Mamana has 2 goals so far this season, and that is Zuma's first. Not the best ball in, but he leaps like a salmon. Joe Hart gets fingertips onto it. The player on the post just watches the ball like a statue. And well, we find ourselves 1-0 up here, which is actually absolutely superb. Allows us just to settle into the game a little bit. Nice to get that set-piece goal. As you can see, De Bruyne out with a gashed head. Hopefully he goes off the pitch for extended treatment or maybe gets subbed off completely. We have a chance though. Coutinho outward wide. Moreno back post. Daniel Sturridge scores his 9th goal of the season. He's had his injury problems. Decided to play him today. As I mentioned, there were alternative players I could have brought in. I stuck with him, and that is a great goal. Moreno whips in the ball, back post. Daniel Sturridge peeling off his man. Just a nice volley, lashes it in. Joe Hart didn't go to meet the cross, perhaps anticipated his defender to be there. And we're having a fly. We're having a laugh. Dybala, runner-up in the Ballon d'Or. Coutinho, Alberto Moreno cleared away. Now we need to make sure we don't get countered. Great defending though by us there. Zuma with the interception. Now a big ball forward. Goetze. Mario Goetze hits the post. That was a chance to make it free after 20 minutes. And that might have been game over at that point. A fantastic start to this game. We're creating a lot of chances. Hopefully we won't regret, not taking that one with Goetze there. But what a great start it's been. Dybala as well. Not in top gear at the moment. Our big player. I feel like Paulo Dybala has pretty much become the essential man in this team. The amount of goals and assists he gets is just simply unprecedented. I believe he's joint top goal scorer in the Premier League with 19, but I think he also has double figures for assists this season, which is just absolutely crazy. Anyway, we're just going to encourage the players here. 2-0 up against Manchester City at home. Really can't complain about that. It kind of shows how good our form's been in. We've hit some, superb form, really. We had a rocky start to the season. It wasn't great, but results like this and the results that we've had before, it's just going to keep building confidence, and hopefully we can snowball that confidence into a really, really strong mid-section to the season where we have got tougher games. We got Fiorentina. I think in our next few games we have got Arsenal and Chelsea. I have a feeling we will probably live-com the Chelsea game and then maybe the Fiorentina game and miss the Arsenal game. It's getting to that stage where, as you guys know, the fixtures get packed. But we have another chance. Goetze, Coutinho! Joe Hart with an insane save. Can we get the ball into the box again? We can. Henderson cleared away though. And we're looking very good here. We've had a few chances though to really kill the game and we haven't taken them. Joe Hart has made some crucial saves after perhaps an initial mistake from the Zuma header. And I'm hoping we're not going to regret that. De Bruyne playing on with his little knock of his gashed head. And as you can see, City trying to play the ball forward, but we win it back and Dybala's through here. Dybala, oh wow, Joe Hart with another save. He is simply keeping them in this. This could be 4 or 5 by now. As it stands though, it's still 2-0. We're going to make a sub here. I'm going to take off Daniel Sturridge, I think. I know he's been in good form, but with his bad condition and bad match sharpness, I don't really want to risk it. We're going to bring on Mario Silva, I think the Portuguese player. I believe this is going to be his home debut. So hopefully he can put in a good performance for us here. He's on £100,000 a week. He's 18. Perhaps a little bit of pressure on him. This is the kind of game where if he comes on and grabs a goal, it's really going to just, help his confidence, and it's going to help him bed into the first team, I think quicker. I think getting that early goal for young strikers who you sign for big money, like that is always the kind of confidence booster and kind of the thing that really kickstarts a player's career at a club. So maybe we can get that here whilst we are on top in this game. A goal for City could make things a little bit interesting, so we do need to be slightly wary of that. But given how this game's gone so far, we're not going to change our system. City yet to have a shot on target, and we're on the attack again here. Klein, who has 10 assists as a right back, through. Dybala, Silva, oh dear. Oh dear. Right, let's just ignore that. Mario Silva, we only paid £4.2 million for you. Not a massive price tag, but your wages are kind of hefty. And getting near to the corner flag probably isn't the way to prove to everyone that you're worth that money. Let's bring on Bazor. I'm going to bring him on for Henderson, who's struggling a little bit. I think I'm also going to bring on Embolo for Mario Götze. Götze not had the best game, but I mean, he's not needed to have a great game. It's been one of those matches, I guess, where you get 2 fairly early goals in the first half. Players perhaps take their foot off the gas just a little bit. And, you know, they're not quite as fired up. They're not quite as bothered by this game. But we really have shut out Man City here. They've not had a shot on target in this match. We've attacked and attacked and attacked. We probably should have scored more. We could have scored more. But as it stands, we're going to win. Aguero with a late chance. Zuma with the tackle. Milner, our former man, who, of course, we saw back to Man City, having a chance there, but it was missed. That was their first shot on target as well in the 93rd minute. What a result that is. A fantastic way to kick off the new year at the club. We are now, of course, in 2019, and look at that, we go into second place. We're already second place, but we have now a bit of breathing room over Arsenal. The gap over Man City is 8 points. Chelsea will be the next live com. That is going to be an absolutely massive game for us, but hopefully you guys will stick around to see that one. As always, if you have enjoyed today's video, please do smash the like button, guys. I've not been feeling too great today. Hopefully that's not come across too much in the commentary. But yeah, that wraps up everything from me. Thank you for watching. Smash the like button. If you've got any comments about Mario Silva, what you make of him, would you have bought him for £100,000? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to know your thoughts on this guy, because it is something that, as I mentioned, it did split opinions a little bit on Twitter. I think in general most people agreed that Mario Silva was worth the £100,000. But let me know, would you have signed him for that much money? I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comments. So yeah, that wraps up everything from me, guys. Hopefully I'll see you next time for the Chelsea episode. And other than that, it is me, Jack, and I'll talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.